I like the red, mashallah.
What was that?
I said, I like your red, mashallah. Very
Oh,
nice.
trying to brighten up today a little bit. Well, assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the Conversations program here at Islam in Spanish. Alhamdulillah, today, convert that we would love to hear from, Sister Hazel Gomez. Assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam. I'm so excited to be here with you all.
I'm so excited. I know we've known each other for a while, and you've been, mashallah, part of Islam in Spanish and working together. But I want to know about Hazel Gomez. Like, you know, where are you from? Your family? How'd you grow up? Like, who is Hazel? Mashallah. So today we're gonna take some time to go back in history a little bit. And
making me feel old, Sakina.
Mashallah. So, Bismillah. Thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate you and your family. And I know, mashallah, you have your family and your kids supporting you. So we definitely want to give a shout out to them and give salams to them as well, inshallah. So let's get started. We usually, mashallah, like to start with, you know, hey, who is your family? Who are your parents? Like, where are they from? Where did they come from? And how did they get here to America? And you know, how did that start? So let's talk about your family.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Alhamdulillah. I'm so grateful to be here. You know, I love your question about family, like where we're from, right? Like that's even though many of us convert to Islam, like our families, whether they convert or not, shaped us into who we are, and the histories and our ancestors, like we're here because of them, right? Those who made it and passed on their wisdoms. And so for me, my dad was born and raised born in Monterrey, raised actually in Chicago. So my grandparents immigrated from Mexico in 1968 when my dad was a year old. So he was raised here in Chicago. And then he met my mom in high school. My mom is of Puerto Rican descent. So my grandparents came from Puerto Rico. So I'm Puerto Rican and Mexican, which I hear is a very Midwest thing. And I tell East Coast Latinos, they're like, what? I tell West Coast Latinos, they're also like, that's such a Midwest mix, being Mexican and Puerto Rican. And so I was raised with my grandparents. My maternal grandparents raised me. And then, you know, gracias a Dios, like a mile and a half away, my dad's parents lived. So I saw them all the time. I'm so grateful to have been raised by my paternal and my maternal grandparents. One thing I like to say is, you know, as a reflection is I was raised with the values of 1940s Puerto Rico and 1940s Mexico, right? Because my grandparents raised me, and so their parents. So I have everything of those societies that has the values, the traditions, the even like religion. I was raised Catholic. I was raised with those societies in mind, but being transplanted in Chicago.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the mix of the two, you know, Mexico and Puerto Rico. Like, that's awesome. And those are like, you know, the majority, right, immigrants here. And like when you see, you know, from at least, you know, here in Texas, you know, we're very on the west, very highly populated, you know, Mexican, you know, mashallah, people. And then, you know, you go to Chicago, you go towards the east, you see a lot of the Puerto Rican and everything. So that's really interesting. I mean, it's not even like surprising nowadays, right? Like,
yeah.
mixing, mashallah. So then is it safe to say you were born in Chicago and raised there? Is that
yeah? So I was born and raised in Chicago.
Mashallah. So you had your elementary years in Chicago. How was that?
Was it, I did.
Yeah.
So I was sure. So I was born and raised in the Humboldt Park neighborhood of Chicago, which is the historically Puerto Rican part of the city. You know, elementary school, you bring that up, and I was really reflecting on that. I was, you know, just born and raised with, I mean, my neighbors were either African American or Puerto Rican. And when in elementary school, there started being an influx of immigrant Mexicans. So kids that were my age who didn't speak English. And I just remember in elementary school that I remember in a couple of time periods, they would have some of the native Spanish speakers come into our class. And I just remember learning from them, like having been born in Mexico or in Centro America, and just learning about their experiences and me helping them with their English. And then they're teaching me like slang that I didn't know because I speak very Puerto Rican. So, you know, just like watching even my vocab, I was like, oh yeah, that's a bad word for you guys. So let me not say that.
Well, how does it learn the bad words first?
I know, right? Seriously.
Oh, man. That's awesome. So were you like into sports? Were you a girly girl? Like, tell us about little Hazel.
Little Hazel. Oh man, subhanallah. No, I was definitely a bookworm. I mean, this is you know, I'm in my prayer room these days. Yeah. I definitely just like, I read a lot. I played basketball and softball with like the neighborhood kids with just like the crate on the crate on the tree. That was me. And then across the street from my grandparents' house, just played a lot of softball. Right. But I definitely was just a reader. Every month I'd go to Target and get the new Goosebumps book for $3.25. Yeah, definitely my own library.
MashaAllah, that's amazing. So do you have siblings?
I do, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I have a brother who is 4 years younger than me. And then I have a little sister who's 10 years younger than me. And I'm so grateful for her. And then my dad, when he got deported like 11 years ago, he did get remarried. And so I have a little sister who's 8 in Mexico. And so she's the same age as my son. But it's hilarious though, because like, hablo con ella and she's like, ay, hermanita. And I'm just like, I'm like 30 years older than you.
Yeah.
And, you know, my dad calls me and he's like, Hazel, you know, can you tell Gabby to make sure she does her homework? I'm like, Pa, I'm doing the same thing with my kid. You got homework. Right. I'm like, Pa, you got this. Yeah. Like, it's okay.
He needs that village to help him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But that's funny how you have a sibling that you're 10 years old. I have my brother Alex. I'm 9 years older than him. So that's interesting. MashaAllah, we have that similarity. So let's fast forward to middle school. I know middle school is kind of when we're getting to know a little bit more about ourselves and like discovering things and trying to be a little more independent and, you know what I mean? Like figuring out what we like, what we don't like, and just being exposed to things that maybe, at least for me, I didn't expect, the environment starts to shape us. So tell us a little bit about that. How was that for you?
So in Chicago, grammar school is like pre-K through 8th grade. So I was like raised with the same kids until 8th grade. Yeah. So like to be able to come into myself as an 11-year-old, like 6th grade with the same kids was, I'm really grateful for. Like I said, just being around other Latinos as well, like a lot of Dominicans as well. I was able to learn more about like who we are as a people. And because I always read, it's just something that like our histories is something that I was always really a part of or interested in.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But coming into myself didn't really start until like freshman year in high school, when I went to a magnet school, college prep high school in the city of Chicago that was really far from where I lived. It took 45 minutes to an hour on public transit. It was there that like my life changed. I mean, I'm introduced to Islam is one thing as well. I was introduced to Islam in high school, but also like who I was as a person, as what was my purpose in life. Like high school was really transformative for me. Yeah.
MashaAllah. So why did you go out to that school? Is that something, that was a choice? Was it because you wanted a change of your environment? Maybe the school in your area was the best? Tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things about Chicago and a lot of major US cities is that there's a local neighborhood high school, and then there's magnet schools that are spread out throughout the city that you apply to. And you have to apply kind of like college. You apply, you get an interview, and like you take a test and you either get in or not. So I applied to 5 magnet schools in the city of Chicago, and they're all really far from where I lived. And mainly it was like, I know my neighborhood high school. I was like, I can't go there. I was like, if I go to my neighborhood high school, I don't see myself getting out of the hood. I don't see myself succeeding. And it really hurt when I saw, even to this day, still see kids like, oh, that's my choice, I'm just going to go. Right. I'm grateful to have that opportunity, but it also shows the importance of investing in our local schools as well, like our neighborhood schools. So I applied to that high school, and alhamdulillah, I got in. Amazing experience. It was really hard, a really difficult 4 years of high school. But it's not, we were in the 95th percentile of Chicago public school students, 95th percentile and above. So the academic rigor was a lot. The diversity was not a lot. I mean, it wasn't great. There was only one other kid from my neighborhood who got in. There were a few kids from the south side of Chicago, which is predominantly African American, and their commute was sometimes 2 hours.
Wow.
But for the most part, it was predominantly Caucasian, white, and very Asian, as in like East Asian or South Asian. There were a few Arabs there as well, but those of us who were Black or Latino, we were like the minority of the minority. Yeah. And it was, I just remember like my first day of school, first day freshman year, like, oh my God, I've never had white classmates. It like dawned on me. I was like, how do I act around white people? I don't know how to act around white people.
In your own city.
Because Chicago is very segregated. So it's like, the media feeds you one thing, and the media tells you who you think you're supposed to be as a Latina, right? And so it's like, oh man, they must think terrible things about me, and but they don't know who I am. So I had, as a 13-year-old, just like all these things ruminating, and I'm just trying to go to school.
Right. That's deep. I mean, that's a really deep statement to think that, man, you have all of these thoughts that maybe, what if they thought about me like this, or what if this and that, right? And you're like, I just want to focus. I just want to do me, do school, focus on that. And it's challenge. It's very challenging, I think, in general, for teenagers to just always feel like, they have to try to fit in or try to be liked or whatever or whatnot. But so did you have any challenges with getting to know, I guess a new part of Chicago and Chicago that you didn't know existed?
Right? I had never been that far north. I was like, whoa, this is a new part of the city.
So Chicago is very obviously segregated. I mean, I'm from Houston. We're very diverse here in Houston. So it's interesting for me to hear that. Like, it's an obvious separation. Like, so I don't know, like, if you can tell us a little bit about that, for us who don't know, there are cities, in America that, or at least I don't know about now, but at least you're talking about high school that it was like that. Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about that, and how does that affect you?
Yeah. So I currently live in Detroit, and I've been here for 8 years. Detroit is also very segregated, even though it's a predominantly African American city. But you'll have some of the very rich suburbs that border Detroit. They literally have a wall. They literally have like a wall to separate them from Detroit. Kind of like, we don't want to see you, right? So that was really stark for me. And so, coming from Chicago to Detroit, it's like you see a lot of similarities where it's like some of the local schools aren't being invested in. I mean, one of the things about the school that I went to, Northside College Prep, again, so grateful for my 4 years there. It opened my eyes to the world, really, not only through classmates, but just like the academic rigor.
Yeah.
I just saw how some of my classmates lived and how different their lives were compared to mine. Right. So it was just, some of my classmates, their fathers were like, you know, the presidents of hospitals, or they were part of city politics, or they were actors and actresses in their family. They came from like wealth, and this part of the particular part of the city. You know, I remember this one girl got like a Jaguar when she was 16. And, you know, my grandfather still dropping me off in our Dodge Caravan, right?
And good.
Yeah. And, you know, I took public transit, but it was definitely one of those things where, you know, I wasn't jealous of it. Yeah. It just made me, alhamdulillah, it just made me like really angry at how people had access to certain things just by where they lived, or really by the color of their skin, because there's so much redlining that happens, you know, like political intentional places where African Americans and Latinos can take out like mortgages, for example, right? So being exposed, seeing firsthand what it's like to have advantages within society from someone who grew up with a lot of challenges. You know, there's a reason why my grandparents raised me. My father was incarcerated for most of my life. He was in and out of jail, right? My mother was in and out of my life. Allah bless her, right? You know, she did what she could. And, you know, they're still involved in my life now. But it's just to have those childhood experiences that made me grow up quickly. And then to be in a high school where there were, mashallah, kids who were just able to be kids. Like, it just kind of blew my mind at how, fine, Allah didn't give them those challenges, and I'm grateful for those challenges because they've shaped me. But it really opened my eyes on, like, one, I need to take advantage of the school that I'm in, and I need to go to college. I'm the first one in my family to go to college. And alhamdulillah, my sister went to college, and so did my little cousin, and he's going to med school, so he'll be the first doctor in the family. Yeah, I'm so proud of him. So, you know, it's how do we, you know, overcome the things that happen to us within the communities that we live in, and they're intentional. Like, you know, I'm a community organizer, so, you know, I deal with a lot of politics and also a lot of community members, and it's like, how do we empower ourselves and make sure and do our best to help one another, because there are policies that have intentionally tried to keep us down, and how do we overcome that? So going to this high school again opened my eyes, and then being introduced to Islam through sisters freshman year, first period, was another just blessing that I'm just so incredibly grateful for.
That's awesome. I mean, hearing your story and you touched a little bit about your parents and the challenges you had with having them in your life. So that speaks a lot to really, the courage that you had to push forward and to really strive to do better. And, even just applying, sometimes, to that high school, sometimes, kids can just like kind of give up, right? They've had it rough, or they think, life isn't fair and all of that. And they have the right to feel that, but to push yourself to do better and to really, strive for the best, like that speaks a lot to your character, mashallah, So I'm very proud of you already as a high schooler. Allah. And knowing what you do now, definitely those experiences and that environment, I can see why you do what you do now, mashallah. So tell us about, how you were introduced to Islam in 9th grade. Was it from a teacher? Was it from a student?
SubhanAllah, it was from a student. So, I told you, like, first day, first period, I'm like nervous. I remember this white girl standing next to me. I'm like, oh my God, I have a white classmate. This is, oh my God, what do I do? But SubhanAllah, yeah. But then like so I was 13, first period, freshman year, I'm at a table and there's this Indian girl, South Asian, right? Indian from the subcontinent. And I remember she was wearing a hijab. And, the way that she was dressed, like she just had like, well, now I know it's an abaya, right? She had an abaya on. But then I was like, oh, that's a really pretty dress. And so like after class, I just curiosity, because that I'm just an investigator of the world.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, you're really confusing me. And she's like, what do you mean? Well, also because in Spanish, Indians, I was raised to say like anybody Indian from the subcontinent son Hindu.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you say,
everybody's Hindu.
Todo el mundo Hindu. Todo el mundo Hindu. Right?
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, well, Hindu translates as Hindu.
Yeah.
But I was like, I know Hindus wear a red dot. I was like, I know that's their religion. They wear a red dot. And like, that's something that women do. And so like, I go up to her and I was like, you're really confusing me. Like you have this veil and this dress, but like, where's your dot?
Yeah.
She just started laughing. And she was like, she's like, I'm Muslim.
Yeah.
And I was like, Muhammad Ali Muslim? Like,
yeah.
And she just laughs and she's like, yeah, I'm Muslim. I'm not Hindu. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, in Spanish, we call everybody Hindu. So I was like, forgive us. Right. I was like, forgive us. And then
forgive my whole
So like, here's this girl. And then subhanAllah, I ended up having most of my classes freshman year with her. So then the next period, we're in the same class. So out of 8 class periods, I think we had 5 together or 4. And she just literally became my best friend because she was the only one where I had so many classes with. And we just became friends, just friends.
Yeah.
And, before I started high school, my grandparents, mainly my grandmother, kind of gave me a pep talk. And she was like, look, your mom had you when she was 16.
Yeah.
Please, just try to focus.
Yeah.
That's all she said. She just said, just try to focus.
Yeah.
My grandparents weren't very big disciplinarians. Me regañaban, pero no me daban una pela ni nací, right? So they were just, they were very stern, but also loving. And so, subhanAllah, I started becoming friends with like the Muslim girls one, I saw them more often, but also I was like, oh, they don't date and they don't drink and they don't sink out of the house. I don't have any peer pressure. This is awesome.
They're too. So let me hang out with them.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I don't feel, it was just like I could be myself. I didn't have to fake anything. I was just, and I was pretty Catholic in my upbringing. So I still had like, I was a practicing Catholic. Like I fasted for Lent. Like I did all that stuff. So it felt nice to be with other girls who practiced their faith and nobody made fun of it. Like we just lived our lives. And like, that's why I became friends with them. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
That's amazing. So I'm sure you had so many questions, right? Because probably Ramadan came by and you're like, cause Lent, it's not a whole month.
Yeah.
And so, what things were you curious about?
Yeah.
Islam and their, the way that they were as Muslims.
SubhanAllah, one thing that I love about my friends is they didn't proselytize. Like I would ask questions and they would answer, but they just lived Islam. Yeah. Like they really lived their faith, mashallah. And that's something I really look back on is that sometimes I didn't even ask them questions. I would just go to them.
Okay. I think Sister Hazel for a little bit. Let's see if she gets back. All right. Let's get real quick. Mashallah, such an interesting story so far. I hope you guys are excited to hear her transition as as she starts curious, mashallah. I think here we go. She's back.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You left off with a big smile, like,
oh no.
Mashallah. So I love you were saying how, they didn't politicize. They would just answer questions and just live their life like, this is life and here's your answer, and not like trying to, maybe cure or anything like that. So so tell us, continue.
Yeah. So, mashallah, they answered my questions. I did my own research. But it was interesting though, because I started like researching more about Catholicism, because there is obviously Islam is the final religion, right? And so the message was the same. And Islam and the Prophet ﷺ is the seal of prophethood. So looking at that, I was like, well, let me research more about Catholicism. Like, what am I missing out on? Like, what am I not understanding about my own faith? And subhanAllah, when you mentioned Lent and Ramadan, there was a time in high school that those two actually overlapped. Like, so I was fasting for Lent. They were fasting for Ramadan. And it was my first time feeling jealous. So let me explain. So I was fasting for Lent, and the way that I was raised to practice Lent was you eat half of your meals, and you give something up, and you monitor your behavior, for those 40 days, and you don't eat meat. And so during lunchtime at school, I was eating half of my meals. And so the way that I was raised was tú no bota comida. Y si tú vas a botar la comida, you give it a kiss and then you throw it away, right? And ask God to forgive you. That's how I teach my sons that. I was like, even if it's a little bit, a morsel of food, give it to the animals, or dale un beso y tíralo, right? And so I remember like my tray of food, like I would look at half of the food and I'd be like, and throw it away, and just feel like I was raised, you don't throw food away.
Yeah.
And then my friends were in the library reading Quran. And then I would go to the library and then read my holy book. And I just remember seeing, and that was my first time being jealous. And I remember praying to God and being like, I don't get it. Why do they look like they're so happy, but I feel so miserable? I was like, God, I'm trying to get close to you. What is this feeling? This is really weird. I've never been jealous of another person's faith practice. This is like, what does this mean? What am I missing out on? And I threw myself. I actually started covering my hair, like it says in the Bible, where we cover our hair. So I started covering my hair. My grandmothers were elated. They're like, ¿te parece como vas a la iglesia los tiempos de antes? Tienes el velo, and they loved it.
Yeah.
And, subhanAllah, I just kept praying. And it was through that prayer, subhanAllah, I actually had a dream. And it was in that dream that drew me, like, I'm gonna become Muslim. I was like, I'm gonna become Muslim. And it was a 2-year journey of researching and learning until I finally was like, I'm gonna take this leap and become Muslim.
How old were you? How old were you at this time?
I was 16.
16. So this is the time that your mom had you.
Subhanallah. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and your grandma, like, focus, baby, focus. Try, go that path, right?
Yeah.
And subhanAllah, she probably prayed for you, but she never knew that this is what Allah had for you, right?
Yeah,
16.
I never thought about that, Sakina. Subhanallah.
Yeah.
Subhanallah.
So, mashallah. So 16, that's such a tender age. My brother Alex took his shot at 15. To me, is amazing. Yeah, 15 when he took his shahada. And it's amazing to me because 15, 16, to be like so focused on like purpose of life and God and thinking about things at that age and in our environment that we're raised, like, that's deep. I give a shout out to all the youth that really do that. Like, it's such a strength, you know what I mean? It's something, for us to pray for and to be proud of the kids that really, Abuelita was right, focus, girl. Tell us.
Subhanallah.
Tell us, how did you get into Islam? How did you convert? What happened?
Subhanallah. So it was like a 2-year journey. After that dream, I went to school. It was a school night. So like the next morning, I told my friends, I was like, this is the dream that I had, like, and in the dream, it's, I learned later what it was, but it was the call to prayer. So in my dream, I heard the adhan, And I remember in my dream feeling really sad, and I sat against the wall. And I went and I sat against the wall, and I kind of looked at everybody. And this uncle comes up to me, and he said, Allah wants you to pray.
Wow.
He's like bent down, and he's like, Allah wants you to pray.
Ooh.
And I was like, I'm not Muslim.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, Allah wants you to pray. And so I stand up, and I have my hands here. I think my hands were somewhere, or they were on my side. I can't remember my dream. But I just remember, like, I looked to my left, and my friend was there, my high school friend. And she looks at me, and she smiles, and I smile, and then I woke up. And subhanallah, I mean, I remember waking up from the dream like, I have to become Muslim. You know, so I told my friends, and they were like really excited. And it was just like a journey from there. It was a lot of learning. One of my major hesitations was like, can Latinas become Muslim? Like, is this something that
Los Hindu is for the Hindus?
Right. O los árabes, right? Nada más para los árabes o para los hindú. So it's like, you know, that was a big fear, was being ostracized by my family, or like adopting something that I wasn't. You know, I'm very proud of like who I am, and proud in the sense of like the struggles of my people, like having that resilience, like having that grit. I was raised with that grit. And I, you know, then I started learning more, you know, reading a little bit more about Malcolm X. I didn't read his text until I was 2 years into my Shahada, into 2 years after I became Muslim. And that really just transformed my life. I wish I had read it before I was Muslim, but alhamdulillah, grateful to have read it even after. But for me, it just, you know, there was a struggle, and I just kept thinking like, I want to get closer to God, but like, how can I get closer to God? And subhanallah, my senior year, I don't know how I found out about this program, but there was a program out in the suburbs of Chicago about the 99 names of Allah. And it was Sheikh Hamza Yusuf and Dr. Umar Farooq Abdullah were leading the conference. And I remember seeing the flyer, and I told my friends, I was like, somebody's taking me. Who is taking me to Naperville? One of you guys is taking me to Naperville. And alhamdulillah, one of my friends ended up taking me that weekend. And I remember the Sunday, the second day, I'm sitting there, and I was like, it was like 10 a.m. after the first session, Sakina. And I'm like, I finally feel like I know who is God. Like, I finally know who is Allah. Like, I know who is God. And I turned to my friend's older sister, mashallah. She has like insight, you know, some people just have that like sense. And she kind of like leans into me, and she says, Hazel, what's stopping you? What's stopping you? And I was like, Apia, you know, I was like, it's big sister in Urdu, right? I was like, Apia.
Oh,
yeah. I was like, you know, I was like, I don't know. I think my family's gonna kill me. Like, I was scared. And then she was like, you know, she was quiet, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna right here. I'm gonna do it. And she's like, are you sure? Are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. SubhanAllah. She told me to like sit against this wall on the floor. So I sat on the floor against the wall. And, you know, I didn't know who he was, but like Sheikh Hamza Yusuf is a big deal. So there's this man with an entourage, I feel like, of the whole conference behind him. And he like sits in front of me on the floor, and everybody's standing around us.
Wow.
And he just starts asking me questions. And he's like, so your name's Hazel Gomez. You're Latina, right? I was like, yeah, I am. And he's like, what are you? I was like, oh, I'm Mexican and Puerto Rican. He's like, oh, my wife's Mexican. I was like, really? That's awesome. And, you know, he starts asking me questions. And he's basically like, you know, are you sure you want to take your Shahada? And I was like, yeah, I'm very sure. And he says, repeat after me. So I repeat after him. You know, I say the Shahada in English and Arabic, and everybody starts crying. And I'm like, okay. It was just like, oh, okay, I'm Muslim. But then this is the importance of our scholars having cultural humility and cultural competence. He like read something on me. He read my face, is what I mean, right? Like he read something, and he was like, I want you to repeat after me. I said, okay. He said, and I also believe in the Blessed Virgin Mary. and in the virgin birth of Jesus, peace be upon him.
Uh,
And Sakina, that's when I started crying.
you lit up.
I was like,
MashaAllah.
he's right. I believe in Allah. And I was learning about who the Prophet ﷺ was. May Allah be pleased with him. But in that moment of being a brand new Muslim at 18, I was still disconnected, like not knowing, you know? But he knew that as a Catholic, I love La Virgencita and I love Isa alayhi salam. And it was a reminder for me that I did the right thing. I chose Islam. Allah chose to write Iman on my heart. And I still believe in the prophets. I still believe in Musa alayhi salam and Harun and Isa and Ibrahim and in La Virgencita. I just don't pray to them, right? And it was a moment for me that, like, I remember Sakina, like, feeling so confident that I made the right decision and that it wasn't foreign, and that just like Islam has spread all over the world through the message of Rasulullah, like, it was meant to touch my life and embrace it. So, alhamdulillah.
That's amazing. I'm like chills up and down. Okay. I mean, I love that he saw you and he knew that you needed to hear that you are not leaving what you already knew and what you already loved. And he made that connection for you. I thought that was so beautiful, you know, like it's true. We, you know, alhamdulillah, like, you know, when we do our shahadas, and it's such a blessing to see, you know, people embrace Islam in the Latino community, but it's so important, you know, and even now your story reminds me of how it's so important whenever we tell them, you know, that you believe in the Prophet ﷺ as the last messenger, but you also believe that Isa ﷺ is a messenger. And then you include everybody that you already knew. We're not trying to take anything away. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
I love that. I love that story. That was amazing. And you had so many people around you, and then you started getting emotional. And what did your girlfriends say? Were they like,
yeah,
Allahu Akbar,
SubhanAllah. You know, just I got so many hugs from sisters, just so many hugs, so many brothers saying Salaam alaikum, welcome. Yeah, right. And my friend, so all my high school friends, only one was there, the one with her big sister. And then she like got her sister's cell phone and like started calling everybody. And, you know, it was really profound. And when they went to drop me off at home that night, I was like, I'm going to tell my family tonight. I'm not going to keep it a secret.
Wow.
And you know, because initially I was like, the drive home, I was like, maybe I'll keep it a secret. Maybe I won't.
Yeah.
And I just sat my grandparents.
Right? Our first challenge is God says, don't think I'm going to guide you and you won't be challenged.
Yeah.
Right away, we start thinking about those things. How are we going to go home right now?
Yeah.
So tell us about that. So you had your little inner conversation and you're on the way home. You were so happy and so, but then you're like scared, right?
I was scared. Sakina, oh my God, subhanallah. I got dropped off and I told my grandparents, tengo que hablar con ustedes. And I sat them down in the bedroom. And mind you, again, my sister is 10 years younger than me. So she was 8 at the time. My brother wasn't home.
Yeah.
My brother was at my other grandparents' house for the night, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, I said, you know, Papa, Grandma, hoy me convertí al Islam. Soy musulmana hoy. My grandfather just started crying his eyes out. My grandmother is not one who gets angry very quickly, pero altera. She started like yelling, and she was like, I cannot believe this. I can't wait to graduate high school. Tú vas a ir al colegio, te vas a olvidar de tus amigas, tú te vas a olvidar de esto. You know, basically just saying like, I'm going to forget everything. And she was like, oh, your Catholic education down the drain. And I'm thinking in my head, I didn't go to private Catholic school. You know, I'm just trying to like lighten the mood in my head.
She's trying to use everything she could, even if it wasn't true.
Right. But I was just like, you Dito, Bendito, my little sister was crying because she didn't know what was going on.
No,
She's 8 years old. Yeah, she was like,
Aw.
and I talked to her later, but it was just like, it is what it is. And so there were challenges. My family, so I started wearing hijab maybe like 3 months after I converted. And I mean, it was a struggle. Like, I did do the taking it off, putting it on. There was nobody in my neighborhood that was visibly Muslim. Maybe there were Muslims, but nobody visible. So that was something that my grandparents really feared. They feared because I stuck out too much. And also because I am the niece and the daughter of, like, they were prominent gangbangers, right? So like people knew who I was, and my grandparents were also just like really scared that people kind of already knew who I was in the hood because of who my uncles and my father was. But now that I wore hijab, it was like I could be an easier target, is what my family kept saying. And I mean, that's gang life, right? Like you have to try to protect your family. And so for my grandparents, it was like, you shouldn't wear it. Like you're more in danger. Like, don't do it. And I just kept saying, is like, I want to be like La Virgencita. Like, yes, Allah says we wear it. We have to wear it. It's in the Quran. But also, I feel like every woman has her own reason why she wants to wear it. And like 17 years later, I'll consciously look at myself in the mirror and remind myself this is not just another piece of clothing. Like I am presenting myself as a God-conscious woman. And so when I first started wearing it, eventually I was like, no, La Virgencita would keep it on. Yeah. I was like, I have to do this. Like, I want to be like her. Then I learned more about the Sahaba and who these amazing women were, and how do I inculcate their characteristics into my life, right? And so, those first couple years were hard. Just family not wanting to stand next to me. They would automatically say, like, yo no soy árabe, yo soy portorra, right? And I was like, Grandma, ain't nobody asking you what you are. Like, you good. But then I'd be like, well, welcome to my world, because everybody thinks I'm Arab.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's funny.
But alhamdulillah, it's been a journey.
Tell us a little about okay, can you hear me? Yeah, because
is it okay?
Are you there? Okay. Yeah, I can hear you, but your for some reason. Yeah.
Is it okay?
Okay, there. We're good. I think you're good now. Inshallah. Well, you froze again, but I can hear you.
Hear me now?
Okay.
Is it okay?
Okay, you're moving. You're moving now. Yeah, I can hear you. Just your image freezes every now. Like it gets stuck a little bit. Okay, you're good now. You're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, alhamdulillah.
So, yeah.
Oh no,
mashallah. So that shows us the challenges you had with your family, and a lot of times they think, oh, it's just a phase, or I hope it's a phase. I pray it's a phase, right? But you were like, no, and I'm gonna put my hijab on a few months later, and you had the struggle with the hijab, and that's totally normal, and mashallah. So what about your community? Did you have challenges, having that support system? What are some of your challenges? And then also maybe tell us a little bit about those times where you knew Allah was with you, knew He had your back. You know what I mean? You knew that was from Allah. Tell us some of those things in your tender, years and just into Islam. Because those are the times that really give us that strong faith, like just out of nowhere, like He helps you with rent, or He helps you, like hijab might have been like so hard for some of us. And then just one day it was like, He just put everything in place to make it easy for us. Tell us about some of those times.
Yeah. SubhanAllah, there have been so many moments in my life where I know Allah is with me. And how can I ever completely show my gratitude? And that's why for me, I love the praying 5 times a day, because it's this reminder of just like stopping everything and praying and just thanking Allah, even though it's mandatory, but it's still like still, it's better. It's good. It's important for me, for all of us, right? There was a moment where one of the hardest years of my life, subhanAllah, was when my grandfather died. And that was 4 years ago. And I've never lost anybody close to me. And I didn't know how I was going to get over the grief, not even get over it, because grief was always with you. But I feel like in that trial, I just kept thinking of the Prophet ﷺ. No joke. I kept thinking how the Prophet ﷺ lost his best friend and his wife of 25 years, how he lost his uncle that raised him, how at Ta'if, nobody accepted the message and they kept pelting rocks at him. And he had the ability when Jibreel alayhi salam told him, Ya Rasulullah, do you want me to crush them between these two mountains? And he said no, because someone in their future could become Muslim. And so that story, that year of sorrow, I kept reading the seerah of that time. I'm like, how did Rasulullah get through this? He had so many more struggles. How did he get through this? And it was in that year of grief that there were just so many different transitions in my life. Not only did my grandfather pass away, I had just moved. I was like restarting school again to get a master's. And it was just all these things. And late at night, I would subhanAllah, I would read the Quran in Arabic, and then I would read in English, the translation. And I would cry, and I'd be like, you're listening to me. Like, who am I? But you're listening to me. And I really need you right now. And, Sakina, and then being a convert, you mentioned community. Sometimes Muslims are really bad at giving condolences.
Oh.
All we have to say is, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. All we have to say is, to Allah we belong and to Allah we return. Because even during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when there was a funeral of a Jewish man, Rasulullah ﷺ stood up, and the Sahaba asked him, Ya Rasulullah, why are you standing up? He was Jewish. And he's like, is he not a creation of Allah?
Exactly.
And, when it comes to grief and loss and condolences, the convert community, the community at large needs to do better. But even for us as converts, we need to learn more and be, Allah is what we think of him. We have a good opinion of our Lord, right? And when my grandfather died, I kept beating myself up. I kept thinking, I didn't give him the message. He didn't accept Islam in his last moments. But you know what? Maybe he did. And I don't know.
Exactly.
I was sitting there reading Surah Fatiha to him. I was there reading Surah Yasin to him over and over and over. Only Allah knows. None of us can say, that's the beauty of our deen, is none of us can say you're going to heaven or you're going to hell. That's only in Allah's hands. Yeah. And as the broader community, it opened my eyes on how terrible we are with condolences. You know what? If you don't have anything to say, just say, to God we belong and to God we return. Because that's the reality. Yeah. Allah made all of us.
You're not saying anything out of, out of your deen, out of your faith. It's okay. You know what I mean? Be kind. I know, I hear you, girl. And, may Allah bless you. And, make it easy for you and your family. SubhanAllah, that. So he was like your father figure, right?
Yeah.
MashaAllah. He raised you, SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. So, wow. So that was deep. I didn't know I was going to cry today.
I'm sorry. I didn't know I was going to cry either, Sakina.
So, I just, wanted to ask you, because when we reflect back on our stories and, how we were raised and, our family, and then we get to a point where we choose for ourselves, right? And now it's not just so much just following our family, and we choose for ourselves, and we have to be a little bit selfish, right? Because this is our relationship with the one who created us. So
Yeah.
in the end, it is your choice. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that we just leave everything that we knew. No, we take all that with us, right? And we just know how to adjust to, if we're asking for guidance, if we're asking for truth, then we just pray and we let Allah guide, right? And so I want to ask you, like, what is something that you would say to someone who is in that position where they are like searching? You know, we don't know that we're searching until we become Muslim, and later it's like, oh yeah, I was searching, or I was looking for truth. You don't have in your mind, you know, when I was like 20 and I was looking into Islam, that I was searching for the truth. Like, that sounds so, I didn't say to myself, I'm sorry. I was just very curious, and I was looking here and looking there, and then, you know, when, you know, I feel that Allah knew that I was sincerely looking for Him. That's how He guided me to Islam, alhamdulillah. But what about those who are in that, on that journey right now? What would you say to them? What is some advice that you would give them
for people who are searching, or kind of
kind of just, you know, on the edge, and they're kind of like you when you were a senior, and you're just learning, and you know, they're coming on here like every Sunday to learn, and they have that little, you know, like spark of interest, but they're not sure. There's a little fear. There's just all of that stuff. It's normal. It's normal. What would you say?
One is continue to pray for guidance, and to continue to search for it, to search for the truth. And it's okay to be curious. The curiosity allows you to dig deeper. It also allows you to ask questions and talk to people, right? Like, definitely read on your own, but talking to people and hearing their own experiences helps. Especially when it comes to Islam, you know, there's this misconception that, oh, I have to be perfect before I become Muslim. I have a relative who, my grandmother keeps telling this person, can you please just become Muslim? Mind you, my grandmother is not Muslim. But she says, can you just please become Muslim? Because it'll get your life right.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. And it's funny though. And I asked my grandmother, like, Mama, what do you see about Islam? And she says, I see honesty. I see discipline. She says, and I see sincerity. And that's something that got me reflecting, is that when it comes to Islam, it may seem foreign, but it's not. It's something that transcends cultures and languages and place and geography. And it's so easy. It looks hard by the way it's perceived, unfortunately, or stereotyped. But that's something that really got me thinking as well. And so, you know, when I had a conversation with this relative, I said, what's stopping you from becoming Muslim? She said, I feel like I have to let go of all my baggage before I become Muslim. I said, who told you that? We are imperfect human beings. Only Allah is perfect. Only God is perfect. We can come to Allah broken. Like, He is there to help fix us, but we also have to do our part. And Islam is the truth, and it is the way of life. And I'm so grateful to be in this faith and raising my children. And I pray that they stay Muslim. But also, just, it's not only the outward acts that we do and the praying 5 times a day, which seems hard, but it's, you know, everybody has their own challenges, and the fasting, it's all these things. Those are the 5 pillars, which are all these like physical outward actions. But there's also a lot of like internal work that happens. So when I was talking to my relative, just like, do you think I'm perfect? Do you think my husband's perfect? We're both converts. Like, no, we got our own baggage. And we still are striving to be good people. And that's where the Sunnah, and that's where learning who the Prophet ﷺ is, and like who the Sahaba were, and how they were able to, you know, perfect their character, especially Rasulullah, of course, right? The perfect human being. And so you're on your journey to learn, and you're on your journey to find some truth. Know that God is always there. He is closer to each of us than our jugular vein. And Allah is what we think of him, right? So if we think of God as loving and merciful and forgiving and present and the all hearing and all seeing, like Allah is the all seeing. Not only does he see us, right? Not only does he like physically see us, but like he sees us. He sees who we are. He sees what we're going through. Like that's the creator. And my suggestion is try to find that path so that you can be on that path towards God and be in his comfort and in his mercy. In Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Beautifully said. I really appreciate that. You know, that's a reminder for all of us, for myself, you know. Islam is easy. It is, you know, the middle path where it's not too much here or there, you know, and it's on your time. It's you and Allah, you know what I mean? Yeah. SubhanAllah. I really appreciate those, you know, inspirational words of advice. And, you know, we hope that, you know, anyone that's on here today can take inspiration from that. And, you know, hey, maybe you're in that position right now that, you know, hopefully, you know, hearing these stories, we'll see like you're not alone, right? Mm-hmm. We've all been through it, and we're here. We're here for you. You know, we know your struggles. we all have our struggles. Alhamdulillah. And alhamdulillah for our struggles. We grow to learn to say thank Allah for everything, even those struggles, you know, mashallah. So, well, thank you so much. I just want to do a quick, we call it the rapid 5. Okay. We're just going to like hit you real quick with just, you know, a quick get to know you and your thoughts. I probably won't do 5, but so just to close off a little something fun. So number 1, let's see. Let's say fill in the blank. Islam is
powerful.
MashaAllah. Islam is powerful, girl. All right. Tell me, what is a comfort food or a snack of yours?
Snack. Mango with lemon juice and salt.
Oh, yes. Sometimes by the mall, they have a little shop with the cut up mangoes and salt.
Yes.
Yes. MashaAllah. All right. Last question. What are you grateful for right now?
I'm so grateful right now at this moment to be in this space with you, Sakina. I always appreciate talking to you, and now we need to talk. So I want to know more about you.
Very much. I know we always talk about, we gotta get together and talk about raising kids. So fast forward, yes. You're married, and you got, how many kids do you have? And so how many kids do you have?
I have 2 boys, 8 and 6.
Oh, so cute. Yeah, my little one's 6 too, so we got a lot to talk about.
I know.
And I'm so interested in so much more there about you, mashallah. You studied forensic science. Hello. What is that about? You was trying to figure out how to, you know, like I was talking to my sister-in-law the other day, and she was telling me about her friend, you know, that, you know, they're going through some things or whatever with her husband. Is like, you know us, we gonna figure it out if something's going on. Like we are like FBI, forensic science, we're gonna do it.
It's in our DNA, Sakina. It's in our DNA, okay? I'm a natural investigator.
It's just funny. So much more about you, mashallah, Hazel, and everything that you're doing in the community, in your community, their local, and the community at large, and with the Muslim community. We're so blessed to have you as part of our community, and so grateful that Allah guided you, and mashallah, may Allah bless your family and your children, your husband, and all the work that you guys are doing, and your grandmother. I know, mashallah, you talk about her often, you know, so may Allah bless her. And thank you so much for coming out today and telling us a little bit about little Hazel.
Alhamdulillah.
Bookworm, Hazel, and very inspirational. We appreciate you, and we hope to continue to do work together. And we'll be in touch, sis.
Alhamdulillah. Muchas gracias, Sakina. Alhamdulillah. May Allah bless you and your family and all the amazing work that Islam in Spanish does. My grandmother sometimes tunes in to the Cuestionando con el Ángel. So, alhamdulillah. So, you know, may Allah continue to bless you all. This is incredible, incredible, and necessary work. And may Allah raise your ranks. Ameen, ameen.
Ameen. May Allah, may He accept from all of us.
Ameen, ameen, ameen.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again, inshallah. Take care. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, Norma, and all the salams, mashallah. Wa alaikum salam.